Hello there everyone and welcome back to Ranked Ride Along. Today I'm going to be playing Baron Samedi in the mid lane. First, a couple things that I'd like to touch on are why am I playing Baron and what makes Baron such a good mid laner. So why am I playing Baron? Well, for once, Baron actually didn't get banned, and since I was the lucky man to be first pick in this match, I decided I'd take Baron into the mid lane myself because I know what a beast this character can be. Now, what makes Baron so strong isn't because he does anything exceptionally well damage-wise. What Baron brings is he brings control, a little bit of healing, and Baron's Brew. In my opinion, the best part of bringing Baron Samedi into Ranked is because of Baron's Brew, and that's the little flask that he gets everyone in his team to be able to buy. Baron's Brew makes every other character have more gold just because of how cost-effective Baron's Brew is. If you think about solo lane, solo laners usually have 150 gold left over, and instead of buying 3 health pots, they can just buy Baron's Brew, and it's like a second chalice. It's absolutely nutty. So yeah, that's why I think Baron's so strong. The Baron's Brew is certainly that factor. So now it's time to get into the specifics of this ranked match. And for this ranked match, honestly, I got fucked in lane. Like, I did not do good in lane. I got bodied in team fights. My positioning wasn't great until later on. But there's still a lot of things that went right and calls that were made in specific situations that I want to point out. So besides me getting bodied, do pay attention to like what circumstances warrant certain calls. The best example of this is the enemy team overcommitting. In this game, since the enemy solo laner was a fucking Nuwa, our Odin had free reign of the right side of the map. And in order to shut down that solo laner, at some point, we knew the whole team was going to have to rotate. And honestly, we were really slow on this call. We should have been attacking Gold Fury while Odin was still alive, but we were a little slow because, you know, we're not perfect players. But what is important is if you ever notice the enemy team overcommitting on one side of the map, that means you can create an advantage on the other side of the map. So look for the big objectives, either the Pyromancer on the right side or on the left side, Gold Fury. And early game, Gold Fury is infinitely more valuable than Pyromancer, so if you can, prioritize that. So always look to see big rotations to solo lane side and then match that by going to Gold Fury. You don't necessarily need to follow your lane mate if you're going to be getting an objective. Like in this case, I saw that both of our tanks are going to be fighting the whole enemy team up there, so me and Mercury fall back and we get the Pyromancer. Sure, our tanks may fall, but they actually aren't worth a lot of gold. So if we pick up this Pyromancer, we're gonna get the Pyromancer buff, and that's honestly a win. So, like I've been reiterating this whole time, I did not do well in lane. And that shows, because I'm currently 0-5. But what happens here is you also have to know how to play from behind. Agni is feeling really confident, and that is honestly his downfall, and spoiler alert, his team's downfall. Because Agni decided to really position quite aggressively, I was able to punish that because I'm still Baron Samedi. Right? So when he goes in positions aggressively, it throws him out of position, and since Agni was honestly carrying that team, when he dies, that just signals to my team that we should fight and continue to fight. That one team fight that honestly started because Hachiman was really far out of position ended with us getting a 1 for 3, and now we're going to be able to take Fire Giant. And this is something that the Smite casters say in the Smite Pro League all the time, is you want to get the stuff after the stuff. So after you get your kills, you always want to look for an objective, especially if you're ever left where your team is at a major advantage. The best fight the enemy team could have hoped for there was a fucking 2-on-4. And we would have won because they had no tanks, no crowd control. We would have just dove them and they would have died. So now this puts our team in a really big, powerful position because we're about 5,000 gold up and we have Fire Giant. And Fire Giant typically means time to fight, and it's time to fight hard. There's not much that the enemy team can do, and in general, if you are fighting against a Fire Giant team, give up the tier 2 towers. The best recommendation we have is try to defend under Phoenix. The towers don't really matter, at least they don't spawn super minions in the lane, right? So usually the practice is if the enemy team has Fire Giant, you're giving up the tier 2 towers, and you're falling back. The enemy team really should have done this in this case because Izanami decided to split push. And this was a very key notice for our team. When we saw that Izanami was split pushing, we decided to end the game because all we needed to do was send Athena back to base to scare off Izanami. And then Athena has this really cool thing where she can just ult to anywhere that a player is on the map, so we were able to end pretty easily. The only regret that I have for our team in this game is we should have just killed Izanami instead of letting her potentially get a lot of crits off to kill us. We should have just killed her, killed the Titan, but regardless, that was the game. Now, I'm just going to replay this clip so I can talk about the build. What I did to start the game is I was rushing Book of Thoth because personally I really like rushing Book of Thoth on Baron. It's a really good power spike to start, and against any other character but Agni, I probably would have had control in the lane. Now, then I go into my pen boots because I prefer pen boots over the CDR. This isn't like Kukulkan where you need to build a lot of CDR, so this was the better boots option. Then I'm building into Pythagorean's Piece and then after Soul Gem because I'm behind. I usually wouldn't go into Pyth, but since I was behind in lane, I am trying to help out my team while still being aggressive.
Can we do Big Fire?
What these two items do is they give, well, Pythagorean's Piece gives an aura that makes my teammates stronger, but Soul Gem also has that heal, and this is where things get a little weird. Baron's 2, if it hits an enemy god, does heal, and Soul Gem also heals when hitting an enemy god if we've hit enough abilities prior. This can create some really interesting things like burst healing, but that's pretty much the build. It didn't go much deeper. I would have wrapped up with like Gem of Isolation into Spear of the Magus or Obsidian Shard, depending on how the game was going, but it didn't get that far. Hey guys, thank you all so much for watching. If you want to see more stuff from me in the future, hit my face in the bottom left to make sure you subscribe and keep up to date with me. If you want to watch more stuff from me right now, I have quite a bit to choose from, but I'm going to put 2 videos on the screen right now for you to choose from. Anyway guys, this is Keltick, signing off. Have yourselves a casual day.